Recently, sightings brought you images of the surface of Mars, taken by the Viking space probe. A large structure is clearly visible, which looks remarkably like a human face. The pictures are intriguing, but they're not the first evidence of a face on Mars. That happened in 1924. It is reasonably certain that Mars has been inhabited in the past and is inhabited now. These were the words of Dr. David Todd, an Amherst College professor and astronomy genius who believed he had recorded a radio message from Mars.
David Todd was, like many people, a believer in the existence of intelligent beings on Mars because of the apparent existence of features that seemed to be not natural but engineered. So his idea was that, in fact, we should listen to Mars and we should see if we could pick up radio signals directed towards us.
Today's search for extraterrestrial intelligence is high-tech and computerized, but in 1924, one of the greatest mechanical minds in the country was an appliance builder named C. Francis Jenkins.
If there was anyone in the kind of world of invention at that time who had all the tools to do the kind of thing that Todd wanted to have done, I think Jenkins was a logical choice.
Jenkins had already developed an early form of television that converted radio signals into images on film. Dr. Todd had Jenkins aim this device toward Mars on a day of national radio silence in October of 1924.
Effectively, from what I understand, they used it to aim at Mars, knowing that it was going to be closest to the Earth on whatever that date was, and used it to record signals of some kind coming from Mars.
The signals proved to be astonishing. For the first time in human history, a strange message coming from the direction of Mars was actually recorded on film.
They brought the film back and then had markings on the film which were very hard to decipher. There was apparently something that looked like a face that was constantly repeated along one edge of the film.
And it was this first so-called face on Mars that rocked the scientific world in 1924. Many called it Martian code and demanded that it be deciphered. Todd and Jenkins submitted their film to the country's leading cryptologist. No one knows what happened next.
They sent it to a cryptologist, and I don't believe it was ever satisfactorily deciphered to see what they had gotten.
That cryptologist was the late William Friedman, the United States government's master of decoded military secrets and the godfather of the CIA.
William Friedman is important in cryptology basically because of national security issues. He was working for the government in a security area, decoding messages.
And what happened when two of America's best scientists met the master of cryptology? The answer has been shrouded in mystery for 3/4 of a century, until sightings finally tracked down the long-lost Mars film in Friedman's personal archives at the Virginia Military Institute.
William Friedman looked at the code, made an attempt to decipher it. There's no evidence in the files which indicate that he actually broke the code. Why he did not return the files to the gentleman who brought this subject to his attention is not known.
As a result, both Todd and Jenkins died in obscurity, like their once famous Mars message. In Friedman's archives, purged by the National Security Agency of much of its important correspondence, we did find one revealing letter. The author reports that his men had recorded the same radio signals on that same day in 1924.
They consisted in part of dashes of 6 seconds duration, separated by intervals of 7 seconds. These dashes continued for several minutes, were followed by a voice pronouncing words. They were isolated words of from 1 to 4 syllables.
The author of this amazing letter to Friedman was a captain in the U.S. Signal Corps. Could this be Todd and Jenkins' ultimate vindication? A clue hidden by Friedman until he was no longer here to keep the secret.
To decode a message from another planet that may or may not indicate extraterrestrial life, I believe William Friedman would have seen that as the ultimate code.
During our research for this story, Sightings was contacted by the NSA, the National Security Agency. They informed us that while they would supply us with material relating to the 1924 face on Mars, They wanted us to know that neither the NSA nor the CIA has ever officially engaged in the collection of intelligence concerning messages from extraterrestrials.